Well, hello again, boat race fans. This is a Redneck Boat Guy. Hey, had some requests for a new video, so I thought I'd start out with a little bit of something. My wife is good at decorating. We're all fixed up here for the Mardi Gras. Got beads in the trees, such as that. But yeah, I've had some requests for a little bit to show my prop work on what I do. I'm not a builder, I'm a tuner, but you know, we're kind of a small boat race group, small club. I do everything that I need to do in a two-car garage. So if you think you need some kind of big shop or whatever to go boat racing, you just really don't. I want to show you what I do and some of the tools that I use to do that. And like I say, everything that I've got right here in this two-car garage. Now, you know, we've got a race trailer that holds the boats and such as that. But yeah, I want to show you around, show you what happens at Team Texas here. I guess to start off, let's start back over in the corner. I got a toolbox. Naturally, it's not a big thing. Harbor Freight grinder on top. I got a cut-off saw. Got some of my tools on pegboard. That's one of the things I want to do is I want to build that whole wall out with pegboard. And one of these days I'll get to that. What I've been normally doing is I work on props and such for a while, and then I work on the shop, trying to get it upgraded a little bit. But yeah, this cut-off saw works good because I've got it made right to the same height as this, and I can scoot everything back and put a long board down here, and it'll reach as long as I want to. So that works good for the cutoff saw. I've got a dust collector that goes overhead into a vacuum. So then I built this bench. I think it's 12 feet long, 11 feet long, something like that. This bench is very, very flat. It's within a 1/16 of an inch per foot. So if I need to do anything level or flat, I use this bench. You know, that's kind of pretty. I like how it came out. Most people would have thrown this wood away. This is what the wood looked like whenever I started with it. And if you know, if you got a way to do it, make it new. So I made a bunch of little strips out of it, glued them all together, and made a butcher block out of this, what I consider very, very special wood. My dad, back in 1968, built the first structure on our old home place, which was a well house to cover the well. We of course live out in the country, so we got a water well, and we cut and milled this wood. Here's another piece of it right here. We cut and milled this wood out of oak there on the place. So it's not only old hard oak that works really good for bench top and stuff like that. It means something to me, you know. So I've got quite a bit of this left, and I'll be making stuff. I've made some picture frames. I made different things with it. But anyway, I got a nice bench there. Let's see. Let's walk on around, look around. That's my prop box. That's about how many I bring to the races. I'll bring 10 or 12 props to the races. We only generally use 2, maybe 3 props. You know, everybody's got their best, and then they've got something to back it up. This is Russ, and when we first got the toothpick going, we were wondering, you know, how it was going to do, and we bought a really good C-Mod motor that Woody Leon built out of Beaumont, and it was a 102 with a nice chamber that he designed and built on it. And we didn't know if it was going to work or not, because we only had one boat, and it was a straightaway boat that we converted to try to see if it'd go roundy round. And that first year, it had really short little non-trips, like a 45-degree non-trips, like a hydro, and they were real short. It turned really good, but that was one of the problems. It turned over really good too. So that first year, we either won or we came in upside down. So Papa had to do something to fix the boat, so we did. We remanufactured the old 1988 toothpick into something that's usable now, and we like it. Like I say, we're a small team. We've only got only had one boat at the time, and now we've got, I guess we got 3 boats now, one as a backup and one that is also a 1980s, early 90s boat that Frank Zorkin built that my granddaughter runs. It's a little hydro that was made for Russ when he was 9. He's 40 something now. In fact, yesterday was his birthday. So anyway, we've got these 2 boats. We've got the Toothpick and the Knee Ski is the name of it, and this is actually a 4th generation racer. This is my granddaughter in the Toothpick and in her hydro. And this, I guess you can see a little bit of the motor that we run that we really like. It's a well, if I can get it out of the dadgum. There we go, maybe you can see it now. It's got a wraparound pipe, works really good. That's the A motor, and then that's a B motor. But yeah, we've expanded a little bit and running several classes with the same boat. You know, if you ever thought you might want to play with boats and stuff, it's so much fun, man. Like I say, this is a beginner class right here. This is how you get started. You use a boat that's too big, right? And then you put a kid in it and throttle it down where it won't go but about 50 miles an hour, maybe just under. And they get out there and we train these guys to race around the oval course. So that is the future, and we're really glad to see that happening in NBRA. I know that's a real big focus in APBA as well, to get these kids out running these boats. Well, I want to show you around the shop a little bit. Like I say, nothing special. I got a drill press. You know, everybody's got a drill press. Got a little small $90, $100 welder machine, little plasma arc. This is my bandsaw. Not much to it. It's not very deep. It's a Shopsmith 5, so it's got several attachments to it. Right now I'm keeping this sander on it, but you can make a table saw, you can make a drill press, you can make a lot of things out of that Shopsmith. This is one of the first things I bought before I even had a drill press, so I could flop it around and do several things. But now I've acquired a few more tools. I got a big old 3-phase 3 horsepower mill that is way bigger than what I need, but the price was right. The top end was all broke off of it. The motor and all that was broke. It had been kind of used hard and put up wet, but I got it all welded back together and bought a variable speed drive for it so that I can adjust the speed of how fast everything turns. I've got a forward. It's got forward and reverse on the variable speed. Really nice tool, and it has got. I'm talking about it's got 0 play in it. Let's look at the spindle on that big son of a gun. Real high quality vise. I got a little rotary table where you can cut curves and holes and such as that. So anyway, I'm learning to use this thing, but it's got way more features than I know how to use. I've got quite a few tools for it now. I've got I use it more for a deadgum lathe than I do anything. I got this tool holder, and I welded a 6-jaw finger vise to it, or finger chuck to it, and man, I use it more as a lathe than anything else. I'll chuck up a tool, and I do it backwards. Well, there's a tool in there now. I'll chuck up a tool and then run that material through it, and I'll show you some of the things I made. You can see some aluminum chips here. The last thing I made, go over and look at it, was the cones on my pitch gauge. This aluminum cone and that aluminum cone down here, they were made out of the same thing as the base. It's sort of a plastic. A buddy of mine built this. He made it. Rusty Bonin made that, and when he passed away, it was handed down to me. So that's how I got it, but we'll talk a little bit more about tools and such in a minute. As we go around the shop, you can see I've got a main work table here that's just got, this is in the middle of the shop. I can move it around, I can do whatever I want to with it. I got so much crap in here. My little 3-wheel recumbent bike. I've got about $4,000 worth of Ipe wood there. I was going to build a deck, and I've kind of lost interest in it. I think my son-in-law is going to buy that and build him a deck. But I've got some old sides of the Toothpick. When we first the first year we took the sides and deck off of it and freshened them up, and then the next year, the second year, we knocked the side off of it in a wreck. So I took you can go back and look at some of my YouTube videos that I took and made the right side 2.5 inches longer, wider, and made a triple non-trip so we could charge into the turns, and it'd reach its arm out there and hold Russ up when he kamikazed it into a turn. So that was, I felt like, my job, is to make it to where he can go wide open, he can do whatever he wants to in a turn, and I don't know, it seems like it's working out okay. But anyway, man, this is it. If you want to go boat racing, take your garage, and you know, the first thing I bought was a couple of old props and start messing with stuff, and the longer you go, the more stuff you gather up. Let's go over some of the tools that I use to build props on. Got a little stand here that's nothing more than a bolt through my table that I can polish or grind or do whatever I want to on. I turn it over, and I take this little die grinder here. It's got my polisher on it right now, but this is the main thing I use to work on props. I get them at Home Depot and Lowe's or whatever, but it's a little cup that it's got a little screw on the back of it here, so it's easy to change out these cups. And I've got, I say cup, these pads, and I've got, this one is a rough one and this one's a medium, and that's about all I go. I don't go to a fine on those. And then from there, I have found that these small cups, these little 2-inch, when you're working a prop, they're not big enough to really go, or flexible enough to go across the whole blade. So you end up getting kind of whoop-de-doos in it with a real small cup like that. So what I'll do is I'll get my initial work done, thinning or whatever, with these smaller ones, and then I'll go to something bigger, which I've made this up. This one's kind of worn down, but as you can see, it'll cover the whole blade, and it's flexible, so you can get in there and really make that blade smooth as you go across it. That's been a big thing for me that I found out that's worked really good. Like I say, this one's worn out, and the way I've been building those is you buy these just pads and cut a hole in it. But those work really well in a nice smooth blade shape. Some of my early stuff, and I'll show you one. It's got knuckle bumps all over it. My best B wheel is right here. You can look at that. It's got knuckle bumps all over that thing. But you know what? I hadn't made anything any faster yet, so that's my best B wheel, and I'm working on some new stuff, trying to design some different things that might work. But this old tulip that Russ, it was Russ's wheel, as a kid's wheel, what we call it. Russ ran that wheel. It was a big old 12-pitch B1 wheel, and I cut it down and made a kid's wheel out of it when Russ was 9 years old when he started racing. And when he grew up, I kept adding pitch and different things to it. So that's still our best B wheel. My best C wheel is this one right here. I've got 3 of those now. Call it a fireball blade pattern. I like it a lot. As you can see, I got a little bit better at working props. It's still not perfect, but it's much smoother, much more accurate. You know, most people, most prop customers, think they want a really shiny, smooth, perfect wheel. But I'm telling you what, guys, I'm living proof that that's not what it's all about. A nice shiny prop is a good thing to have, and you know, blade to blade perfection and pitch, that's not always going to get you there. It's really not. So let's go on and look at a few more tools. I started out with my just a little stand that I work on props with. This is my prop balancer. It's kind of Jake leg, but it works. You can see how slow the blade turns. If you can identify that one is a little heavier than the other, I'll take my little tool that my little polishing tool and go on the back side of the blade and just thin it a little bit, maybe out toward the end, and try it again. And that's the way you do the final balance. So from the balancer, I guess the next most important thing, even before you get to the balancing thing, is pitch. Initially, when I first started working on props, it's all about pitch, right? And when you're on a lake boat, you buy a 19 pitch, a 20 pitch, 21 pitch on up like that. So that's all I really was concerned about early on, was getting the right pitch, because that's all I knew about. And as you grow in the sport and you look at different props that are working, you find out there's way more to it than just pitch. You know, there's such a thing as blade progression, blade size, blade shape. All of that plays a role in it, and I've learned that over the last 40 years of playing with props and doing things. And recently I made a big upgrade to this thing. Like I say, it's just handmade. These are numbers that are about what other props were that he knew. So made a pointer, and it goes down there and sets on the blade. And I just made an upgrade to this thing to where, see that bolt right there? Used to, that pointer would flop all around and I'd have to hunt and find it. But now when I need to use it, it's either there or up on the other side. It's easier to get to. But that's what you do, is you just look and see, okay, well, I've got several different places marked on this thing that I measure props. You can see, you can slide this in and out, so you can measure in near the hub or out near the end of it. And then you measure blade progression up the blade. So that's what a pitch gauge does. This was built for me by Dwayne Larimore, and I have used this tool in my prop business more than any other tool. This and the hammer. He took a little ball peen and welded some brass on the front of it, and I've just about beat all the brass off of it. But that's my main tools right there, is this chunk of brass and a little ball peen hammer that's got brass on the front, so you won't dent it quite as much. I used to make them with steel hammers on a 4x4 or a trailer hitch ball or whatever. That's the way I started out. But this tool here has really done good for me. It's got a different curve here than here, and man, I've used that thing all over to make props and to do things like put it on there and you make different pitches going around and around it. It works really cool. And hit the blade, and that front edge right here will bend up. So that's my fine-tuning tool right here. If I've got a prop that is way off, or I want to do a lot initially to it, I'll go over here to this. Now this is something that a good friend of mine gave me, and I think it may be an old Papa Smith block, pitch block. I don't know, and the reason I say that, it's got a Y number, Y78, and I think that's how Papa Smith, he had Y blocks, he had different things. So that numbering makes me think this might have been one of his, one of the famous guys in the prop building business. But it's the only one I got. And I do use this initially. When I retired, I cut my old work boots up for leather, and what you do is you put a piece of leather behind there and hit it here in the middle, and that'll bend that blade up. You put it down here in the back and you hit on this side, and it's going to bend it down, isn't it? So that's the way you do it with a pitch block, is you get it close to where you want it. You do get some repeatability out of this from blade to blade, and that helps to begin with too. So a pitch block's good to have, but I built prop for over 30 years before I owned a pitch block. And for the first 10 or 12 years, whatever, I used a 4x4 block of wood, you know. And then later on, Dwayne saw that. He was a machinist, and he made me this, and he kind of changed my world. I'm probably the worst prop builder in the world as far as tools and processes, right? But hey, you don't have to have a world of everything to do something that'll work for you, and it's kind of fun. So I got my pitch block. I call it a pitch block, but I don't know really what you call it. It's a tuning tool. I really get my fine tuning down on this. Again, I've got my pitch gauge and my balancer, and this is something I made that works really good. A lot of props have or board for the big motors, like this one right here. It's got 11/16 bore in it, and we run shims in them to get them down to 9/16. And a lot of people do that even with a 9/16 shaft. So if that prop seizes stainless to stainless on the prop shaft, you can pull the prop off, and then all you got to do is cut your shim off. So that's a good thing to do, is if you're ordering a prop, order it with a 11/16 hole, and buy these bushings and put in there. You can get a bushing that fits in there exactly, and their trailer. Jeff Ruth showed me this. Let's walk over to the prop box and I'll show you. Their trailer spring bushings. You know, the end of a trailer spring comes up and there's a bolt in it, and the bolt holds the spring to the shackle. Well, that's what these are, and they fit exactly right. They're 11/16 OD and 9/16 ID, and buddy, they fit right in a prop and work super good, and they're less than $1 a piece. So those work good. You can also get them in brass. So that's the way to go if you're looking for a prop shim. Get on Amazon and say trailer spring bushings, and there they are. But, yeah, man, glad you came by and got to see the shop. A little bit of video here. Nothing to it, man. You don't have to have a 3 horsepower mill to do this. Get you a 4x4 and a ball peen hammer, and if you get really good, weld you some brass on the front of it so it doesn't beat it up as bad. And then cut your work boots up when you retire, so you don't have as many knuckle bumps on the prop. But that's the way I do it. Oh, I want to tell you about this hammer right here. That come out of Floyd Hopkins' shop. I went over there and was looking around, and the lady that owns all that right now, that was Peanut's wife, gave me that hammer right there. That was one of Floyd's. I'm so happy with that. I use it a lot, and I love history, love old stuff like that. Because I guess because I'm old, but there you go. Get your grandkids involved. If you think you want to go boat racing, man, you can do it cheap. Get you an old boat, get you a $600-800 motor, and buy you some safety gear, and y'all come see us. We'll show you how to do it, brother.
Meet my buddies out on the lake. We're headed out to a special place we love that just a few folks know. There's no signing up, no monthly dues. Take your Johnson, your Mercury, or your Evinrude. Fired up, meet us out at Party Cove. Come on in, the water's fine. Just idle on over and toss us a line. Fast trackers, mainliners, and a party barge strung together like a floating trailer park. Anchored out and getting loud all summer long. Side to side, there's 5 houseboat front porches, astroturf lawn chairs and tiki torches. Regular Joes rocking all that fuzz. The Redneck Yacht Club. Bermuda's flip-flops and a tank top tan. He popped his first top at 10 a.m. That's Bob. He's our president. We're checking out the girls on the upper deck, rubbing in the 15 SPF.